Okay, folks, this is going to be a different kind of video, and this video is not designed to offend anyone. I just want to prove, once and for all, you see, I used to be an atheist, and of course now I study metaphysics and Chinese philosophy and Taoism, and really all these different things, and I have my own personal faith and everything. So this video is designed to show that there is rationality behind having a faith. And I hear all the time, well, you can't prove God exists. Well, I'm gonna show you actually you can. Now, to start with, let's discuss a couple concepts. So let's take a look at the number pi here. So pi is approximately 3.1415 ... and it just goes on forever, right? And no one has ever walked out here to the quote end of pi and said, aha, it ends in a repeating order. They haven't. And nor have they gone out there and said, it never ends in its irrational way of just giving different numbers each time and not repeating. Yet, there have been mathematical studies that have, quote, proven that this number never repeats. In fact, other numbers like e, right, they do the same thing. And so we say it's proved, even though no one has actually gone to the length of infinity to look at it and go, yep, there's never a repeating pattern. In fact, it's supposed that there are more of these kinds of numbers than there are regular digits. Okay? So there's an infinite of both, but there's supposed, according to mathematics, to be more of these than there are of individual, rational digits. Okay, so you understand this concept of something expanding and thus proving it by what's called extrapolation. Okay? Right? So an example of this would be 1 over 0. Technically that's undefined, not a number. But we say that 1 over 0 approaches infinity. Okay? All right, this is a thing that we use in calculus. So we'll often replace 1 divided by 0 or anything divided by 0 with an infinity. It's not actually infinity, okay, because infinity is not a number. All right, but we know that it approaches the infinite. Okay, so you understand that. So now if we take and we have, say, a bunch of data sets. These ones are in order, but they could just as easily be all mixed in. Okay. Now, each one representing a different thing. Perhaps they're different particles. Okay. And we'll go ahead and say also that if there's this particle P, that there's an antiparticle, we'll call it AP. Okay. So this is going to go forever in all these directions, okay? It's just going to keep going. Now, do I have to really prove that I can march all the way out here and go, oh, for example, there's gravity? Or all the way out here and, yep, there's friction. Do I really need to do that? No. So in mathematics and engineering, we can say that beyond a reasonable point, right, if something's very small, if something is a very small number, like 1 divided by 0.000001, we could say that's a very large, it's tending towards infinity. And again, if this is a very large number in the bottom, we can say it's practically 0. Okay, because we know that we're approaching. Okay? Now, where this gets important is that considering one side. Now, this is where the logic works. For those with faith and those who don't want to believe, it's not going to work well for you because you're going to play right into this side. Okay, but we're going to set aside the non-believers here. I'm going to set them aside for a second and just talk about on the beliefs. Now, we all know that everybody's got these different concepts. You know, we got Jesus, we got Allah. Right, we've got these different, we got Israel, Ishtar, whatever. We've got all these different versions. And sometimes it seems like they don't correlate with each other. Well, there's a big difference between the part that is real. Okay, I'm talking to the believers now. The part that is real, as in it's infinite, or you could say it's truth. And the part that is, you know, it's imaginary, it's man-made. Basically, dogmas or differences. So that we say that really the part that is in all of these little contexts are contained in the definitions that come with each. So that we say that the one that is the true God, okay, or some people put a G-D, that one here is the summation of the real parts. Okay, and subtracting all the imaginary parts. You understand? So that only the parts that are real about each, like for example with Ishtar here, since we just had Easter, you know, fertility is a real thing, and it's a blessed thing. It's a beautiful thing, and there's something real about the divine feminine. Okay, we don't know what that is, but let's say that if you could take that and combine it into something real with, you know, the life of Jesus and something real with Allah, then you would have, in summation, an infinite data set that no one can go to surround because it's infinite, but that we can extrapolate that there is this real concept. Okay, now that's for the believers. The non-believers are going, that's a bunch of hooey, and I understand, okay? I understand that you have that feeling. I must apologize, the phone keeps ringing. The phone's always going to ring when you're moving the chi, and there's always going to be these distractions to try and stop us from talking about these things. That's because there is a function in the universe that actually wants you to not get to these discussions, okay? So it wouldn't matter if I didn't have the phone, actually. Either my phone would ring that I'm recording with, or the phone would die, or there's all sorts of possible ways. So we're going to carry on through, okay? So don't worry, I'll take care of the patients after. All right, so let's get to the actual discussion here. All right, so we're going to skip to the part where, you know, in mathematics we have, you know, a real axis, imaginary axis, and, you know, something could be on the real axis or it could be on the imaginary axis, which is important, okay? The imaginary axis is absolutely important. We can't discuss electromagnetism without Euler's formula, and you can't have Euler's formula without the imaginary number. This is a real fact. And we could sit here all day and discuss about whether the electromagnetic force is the one force, and I argue it probably is. But we're going to skip to the part where we just say, okay, there's an imaginary and a real axis. Now, this is called a matrix, okay, and this is called, this is your contextual, like when it is real and when it is false, okay? Now, I've put here, okay, you know, when I first started, I'll be honest, I put that God was real equals 1, but I realized that really this audience that I'm making this for needs the data set to look the opposite. Fine, doesn't matter. Okay, so what I've done is I've set God with imaginary is 1, so it's true that it's imaginary, and it's not true that it's real. Okay, fine. And over here, there is no God has been condensed into one matrix called no God. And we set that this is what's real, because, and we're supposing that these people are all imagining in their head, right, in the extrapolation, what God is an imaginary idea, and that what they're beholding is they're not seeing it. Fair enough, right? So we're giving to the atheistic side, right? So now when you see this, you notice that this concept, God, is existing in both sets. And already you see the I got you. You're using the concept we all imagine to define the data that says it doesn't exist. That means that we all are basing on the same one concept, right? Everybody has this concept built within. And if anything, atheists have it even more built in. I know because I was atheist. So this concept is so heavily ingrained in people that they really can't even define their position of atheism without it. All right, so and then we take a look at the logic here. So if we come down here, 1 or 0 is 1, 0 or 1 is 1. So we step through and we get 0, 0, 0, okay? So agree or disagree, the result is truth. Agree or disagree, it's true. If there's no one to disagree, then it's not true. So this is just to say the Wuji still exists. So what we're talking about here is Wuji. Okay? Nothingness. Even though we say that the true nothingness is not empty. Okay? But still, we're going to say the Wuji is defined by no one disagreeing. No consciousness. So Wuji is no consciousness. No consciousness. Okay? Now, up here, we're going to try and force an agreement. Well, we look here, and we start off here, again, no religion, no atheists, no one to believe. Fair enough. No religion, just atheists, no God. Then we find religion and atheists. That's what we actually experience, right? We never see that there's no religion and just atheists. We've never seen that ever in human history. We have seen religion and atheists. Now up here you say, oh, but what if there were only religion? Look at that, it would invalidate. The thing is, there are always unbelievers. This is a key point. There are always unbelievers. There's always somebody occupying the yin-yang. Like there has to be a juxtaposition. Remember, you got 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, etc. Okay? The ones we're talking about are here. And then the split for consciousness, the yin-yang, happens here. And then consciousness is down here. So it's always looking back through this filter right here, to see and understand the one, called the one. And bear in mind, I can prove this also using what's called a Dirac delta. Right? I don't need to, because what I'm showing you is that the data throughout the entire data field is inherently understood that there is a yes and an anti-yes, but both are based on yes. Right? There's truth and anti-truth, but they're both based on truth. And I know this is going to be really hard for those who are non-believers, because they're going to say, "Oh, this is a trick. This is a logic, exploitation. It's all based on it's stuff in your head." Well, I know, right? We went with that. We gave it to you. We said the imaginary was 1, and the real was 0. So nothing real here. But unfortunately for you, okay, whether it's 1 or 0, you get 1, or 0 or 1, you get 1. And then after this, if you look at it, then you must agree. It's true. Now, this isn't to say, you have to convert to anything. I'm not here to do that. I'm just here to show you that there is logic. There's a reason why I stopped being an atheist. Right? It's when I realized I was constantly talking about God, and the same concept of God that, relatively speaking, that Christians had. Now, I'm not here to force anybody to agree on which of these, and then what's going to fall into this equation to determine what R is. I'm just here to say that there is an R, because we can extrapolate at the far distance. All right. I hope you will like and subscribe and share. I hope this helps people. I'm not here to start any fights. I'm just here to show that rationality can exist within religion, within the spirituality. The spirit science is itself a different kind of science, but it is absolutely a science. And hopefully leave some comments below, ask me questions, whatever you want, okay? Thank you very much. Have a great day.